Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marissa if you are new here, your favorite problematic housewife. Today we're going to be talking about Pastel Belle, Repzilla, and Eugenia Cooney. They did some videos recently that I really wasn't a fan of, so let's talk about it. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about Repzilla and Pastel Belle, but let's start with Repzilla and then I will move into my issues with Pastel Belle. So I watched a video that Repzilla did, and now let me just put a disclaimer out there. Eugenia Cooney is a very polarizing person. It gets very heated when, you know, we have discussions about her. And I just want to say that these are my opinions on them covering Eugenia Cooney in their videos, not necessarily on about Eugenia Cooney herself. I just kind of want to say that right now because we'll get into it. But I know this is a very heated topic. People can get really angry, but just hear me out. And I will tell you my issues with these videos. Okay, so Repzilla did a video exposing Eugenia Cooney and the pro-Anna community. Now, I watched this video and I wasn't a fan of it, and I'm going to tell you why. Firstly, Eugenia Cooney obviously is very sick. She is not right now. She has an eating disorder. She seems like she's struggling big time. And one of the main problems that people seem to have, or one of the arguments, is that you're triggering people who have eating disorders when they're watching Eugenia Cooney. Now, I just want to ask you guys, by Repzilla playing Eugenia Cooney in his video, showing her body, showing her doing all this stuff that people claim to be pro-Anna, how are you not triggering your own audience if they have an eating disorder? Because you're showing her doing these things that are supposedly extremely triggering to people, and you're using it for your video. You're exploiting it for your video to talk about how horrible she is, how she's pro-Anna. And now, not only was he insinuating that she is pro-Anna, in the video, he went into this whole pro-Anna website, pro-Anna community that he was exposing. Now, if he wanted to expose the pro-Anna community, great, needs to be exposed. He went through the website that he found. It was very problematic. People were kind of being positive, but not in a good way, to people who were struggling with eating disorders. It was almost like, you know, they were encouraging you, like, there's nothing wrong with you, we're here to support you. I definitely agree that that website and community is definitely a problem. Like, I keep messing up because my husband's distracting me. He's up here with me. My mom is actually visiting in town. She was bringing my 12-year-old back home because he went to visit her in Rhode Island, where I'm from. So she's actually downstairs with all the kids. A couple of them are napping. She's got the baby, so I actually was able to come upstairs and film, which I rarely get to do, even though it's my favorite place to film in the house. So I'm taking advantage of that. So he could have done, now what I feel like he did was, in the video, that he wasn't accusing Eugenia Cooney of being in this pro-Anna community, right? But he would say that in one breath, and then the next breath he's like, oh, but she's using the blue butterflies, she's doing all this stuff, and then he was pretty much saying she is in it. So I feel like he does that a lot, just like with the whole Keemstar girlfriend situation. I feel like in his original video, he was claiming that Keemstar wasn't some creep, wasn't some predator, but then in the next breath he was like, well, you know, some people do use their platforms and date really young girls and be creepy. And then he was saying that Keemstar was making himself look creepy. You know what I mean? And I feel like he goes back and forth within the same video, and he does it constantly. So he will tell you, the audience, that he's not accusing this person and he's not saying it's them or they're doing whatever he's talking about, but he does insinuate that by saying another sentence right after it that pretty much implies the person's a creep, that Eugenia Cooney's in the pro-Anna community.
I had no idea what this was, and I've seen a lot of other people asking questions as to what this was and what it meant. There were some people saying, well, it stands for pro-Anna, and there was other people saying, well, it stands to recover in support of recovering this. And when I looked down the rabbit hole of this, the truth of what I discovered is disturbing. And although I can't connect Eugenia directly to this movement, I do feel like it's important to talk about. So here's the tweet in question. It says, being different isn't a bad thing. It means you're brave enough to be yourself, with a blue heart and a blue butterfly. This is in correlation to her outfit, which is blue. And there's one comment here. It says, these are quotes found on pro-Anna pages that exist. I've seen it myself. The blue butterfly is clear pro-Anna symbol. I don't know how people don't see this. It's such a horrendous example to look up to. I come up on a website called Cerulean Butterfly. What I found very interesting is a lot of the very selfless motivations, quotes, very similar to what Eugenia would post. Well, it was on this place. It was everywhere. It was almost like this Instagram page. Never apologize for being powerful. Good morning. Nothing tastes as good as healthy feels. Happy Wednesday. Crush it today. Love yourself. Wake up, beauty. It's time to be interesting. Being different isn't a bad thing. It means you're brave enough to be yourself. Difficult roads often lead to beautiful destinations. Don't judge someone's choices without understanding their reasons. The past can hurt. We can either run from it or learn from it. So it became very obvious to me that this community's positivity, and again, I'm not linking Eugenia to this community, more of just talking about how it's a very strange and ironic coincidence.
Now, I don't agree at all with this narrative being pushed about Eugenia Cooney being pro-Anna, okay? She is very sick. She's having a lot of issues right now. She is not in a normal right mind. So to accuse somebody who is so sick, who is not in their right mind, when you guys advocate for mental health and you're accusing somebody of purposely spreading pro-Anna content and purposely doing these things, how can you say that in one breath and then in the next breath say you're worried about her and she's not in the right mind? Well, then why are you accusing her of these things? That doesn't seem right to me. And one of the issues I have with people covering Eugenia Cooney, like Repzilla and PASTEL BELLE, they're not qualified. What makes Repzilla qualified to even discuss pro-Anna, to discuss eating disorders, to discuss what's going on with Eugenia Cooney? Why is he using her clips in his video, like I said, to trigger his own audience, when you guys are saying you're trying to prevent the audience from getting triggered, prevent people with eating disorders from getting triggered by her? So it's okay for you to use Eugenia Cooney's content in your video to spread awareness, but she can't do her own content. Do you understand what I'm saying? That makes no sense. He could have left out Eugenia Cooney, left out her clips, and just did exposing the pro-Anna community, right? And that would have been a great video, expose this website that's extremely problematic. But that's not going to bring as many views, right? That's not going to bring as many views as if you're exposing Eugenia Cooney and the pro-Anna community, and you're insinuating in the video that she is pro-Anna and she's doing all this stuff. He even played conspiracies of her moving a box around and like clip after clip after clip, and like she's doing things for the video to get paid. And you guys are so worried about people seeing this content, right? Like I said, but you have it in your video. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Honestly, I don't know what the answer is on Eugenia Cooney. I really don't. But I do know that I don't think any of us are qualified to discuss her condition. And that's it. Not PASTEL BELLE, not Repzilla, not anybody who's done a video on her and is deep diving into her condition and her content and what she's doing. None of us are qualified. We're commentary channels. Repzilla is not qualified to discuss eating disorders. I'm sorry, he's just not. Now, if a professional on YouTube who does this for a living and they know what they're talking about, they're an expert on the subject, they could be helpful in making a video about this. Somebody who actually is an expert in this field would not be making drama videos on Eugenia Cooney. I can tell you that right now, because that's what these are drama videos. You see the thumbnails, you see the thumbnails that they use on these videos. They are using Eugenia Cooney for their drama channel, and they're hiding it behind spreading awareness. They're worried about the kids. Like, this whole thing, this is another freaking situation where people are claiming they're worried about the kids. What about the young kids that watch you? Again, I know I said this multiple times, but I cannot make the point clearer. I'm sure kids watch Repzilla, and I'm sure kids watch Pastel Belle. So what about the kids that are watching you, and you're flashing all of these clips of Eugenia Cooney doing poses and doing her fashion and whatnot? It's not okay. It's not okay, in my opinion. Now, I understand everybody's going to feel differently. I understand that. Some people are probably going to get mad at me in the comments, okay? But that's okay. So, not only does he do that, again, by implying that she's pro-Anna, and because she uses blue butterflies, this is what he did in his video. He went to the site, the cerulean butterfly, and then he would go to Eugenia and show her using a butterfly emoji. Then he would look at, you know, some of the quotes they use on the website and go, look, see, Eugenia Cooney uses these same similar quotes as they do. And when Eugenia Cooney's responding to criticism or people asking about her eating disorder, he says, look, this is what they teach you on these kind of websites. So do you see how that implies that he is accusing her of using a website like this, or even this website, being in the pro-Anna cult community? If you're gonna do that, don't say in the next breath that you're not accusing her of this. And I don't think it's okay to accuse somebody who is so sick and who is having such a hard time right now, because it's clear that she is, to be making all these videos about her, accusing her of, you know, harming children. How is that helping her mental health? What if she's watching these videos and you're telling her that she's harming children and doing this and that because she has an eating disorder? You guys claim that you don't want her deplatformed, but it sure as hell seems like that's where you're going, okay? Get into Pastel Belle, okay? Because I am I got a lot to say about this girl, okay? Pastel Belle did a video recently that I thought, it angered me, okay? Addressing things and, addressing false narratives about Eugenia Cooney, okay? She has done multiple videos on Eugenia Cooney, okay? Now, I will say 2 years ago, I wanted to go back and see what all kind of videos she was doing on her, okay? Here's the timeline. 2 years ago, now I don't know if it was exactly 2 years ago, because you know how sometimes videos will say it was 2 years, but it seemed like it was longer or something like that, you know what I'm saying? Okay, like you can answer me back. 2 years ago, she did a video about Eugenia Cooney and the Shane Dawson documentary, and she was really happy for Eugenia Cooney. She was thinking that she was, you know, doing really well. She thought she was on the road to recovery, and then she looked really good. Fast forward a year, she didn't do any more Eugenia Cooney content. Also, let's see how she looked in this video and talked very differently than the Pastel Belle we see today.
Hello YouTube. So today's video is not really going to be like a fun or funny one. I don't think it'll be like too depressing, but I'm not really going to be like joking around. It's a little bit more of a heavier topic.
Extremely different. Then she started covering Dobby Vanity, okay? And she was video after video after video, all of these survivors of Dobby Vanity, which people have debated whether or not some of the stories of survivors that she interviewed were true, because she didn't actually verify a lot of them. So I don't know. That's a whole other situation. But anyway, she's like Miss Catch a Predator now, right? Video after video after video. Then she does another Eugenia Cooney video. Eugenia Cooney's allowing predators on her Discord platform or something like that. Okay, so from that is the point where she starts blaming Eugenia Cooney for pretty much everything that's wrong with the situation. Okay, I don't like the way she is extremely condescending, she's extremely demeaning, she's extremely rude.
In which she is flashing the camera her underwear the entire time. Now supposedly this is a shoe haul video, but no one really believed that. Everyone knows what she is trying to do at this point, and no one is falling for it anymore.
When she talks about Eugenia Cooney, and she wonders why people say that she hates her. Because it looks like you have an extreme amount of disdain for Eugenia Cooney. Now, Pastel Belle has said that she has an eating disorder in the past, and I think that this is way too personal for her. I think she is projecting all of her feelings of how Eugenia Cooney affects her personally onto everybody else. Everybody else. She accuses Eugenia Cooney of being pro-Anna. She accuses Eugenia Cooney of allowing predators. She accuses Eugenia Cooney of, you know, blames her. She blames her for affecting all these teenagers. Yet when people tell her, okay, that her videos affected them in a negative way with an eating disorder, she completely dismisses that and blocks it. Okay, I will leave a video from Mammy's Rambles down below. She did a great video on Pastel Belle like a few months ago. Really good video. I will leave that for you guys. And any other videos that I have watched, I think I watched a couple more, I will leave those down below as well. Okay, let's start with, she blames her for all of these issues. She blames her. She shared the petition to get Eugenia Cooney deplatformed. She also said in a video, I will show you the clip, where she said, I am all for deplatforming or age restricting Eugenia Cooney. And then she gets on her video. This is where she contradicts herself and think nobody's gonna catch it. Then she gets on her video of addressing false narratives. And she says, I never said that I wanted to deplatform Eugenia Cooney. I never said she couldn't make YouTube videos. She said that her content is dangerous because it's fashion and beauty and showing her body.
Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be discussing the difference between Nikocado Avocado and Eugenia Cooney and why one of these creators is much more dangerous than the other. So for those of you who have been in my community for a while now, you may remember a few months back I and a few other creators made a video saying that we would support the removal or age restriction of Eugenia Cooney's content. So there's this narrative out there that people with EDs and people like Eugenia should not be allowed to exist online because they have an ED. And this is gross, it's harmful, and it doesn't actually fix the problem. And this is also not something I have ever advocated for on my channel. And
let me give you guys a little example here. Why should Eugenia Cooney not be able to dress in clothes? Why should she not be able to do whatever she wants to do on her video because she has an eating disorder? Are you, Pastel Belle, is she telling somebody who is overweight or like obese, you know, that they can't do fashion and beauty on their channel? Imagine if you told a channel, you know, that was a plus size woman that had an eating disorder, because, you know, there are eating disorders that are on the opposite end of the spectrum. So imagine telling a plus size woman who has an eating disorder, binge eating, whatever, that she can't get on her channel, and do fashion videos or show her body because it's too triggering to people. Okay, but see, Pastel Belle completely dismisses the other end of the spectrum, and we're gonna get into that right now. She used the excuse that Nikocado Avocado, because a lot of people called her out and said, well, why don't you talk about Nikocado Avocado? Why don't you talk about Nikocado Avocado? She says Eugenia Cooney's eating disorder, is not the same as Nikocado Avocado. The situations don't compare at all. And her reasoning for that is because she claims that nobody wants to look like Nikocado Avocado.
Well, Nick definitely does seem to have some disordered eating habits and some very unhealthy relationships with his body image and with food. I think that his ED is very different from Eugenia's. We can see that Eugenia's is much more closely aligned with what society deems as beautiful for young people. And even though her body is not necessarily the ideal, because I think we can all recognize that most people do not want to look like Eugenia, it is much more similar to what is conventionally attractive, which is to be thin. Whereas Nikocado Avocado is not really within what is societally deemed as conventionally attractive. Now, I'm not saying
society wants to look like Eugenia Cooney, very thin. That is the worst argument I think I've ever heard. It's not about what they look like. Let's give this for an example. She is so focused on Eugenia Cooney's eating disorder, everything's about Eugenia Cooney. What about mukbangers? What about mukbangers? How about them triggering people? How about Nikocado triggering people who have binge eating disorder, which is a very real thing, which is binge eating without the purging. So you eat an excessive amount of food. What do mukbangers do? They eat an extremely large, excessive amount of food. So what if they are triggering people who have that eating disorder? It doesn't matter that somebody says they don't want to look like Nikocado Avocado. That is not an argument to use about why you don't care about Nicocado's situation and you're only focused on Eugenia Cooney's situation. So why are you so focused on this pro-Anna Eugenia Cooney? I feel like one of the reasons is Pastel Belle is extremely affected by Eugenia Cooney, which she used in her video that she relapsed. Well, that's your fault because you covered her. Now, I'm not trying to be insensitive here, but I feel like she was using her eating disorder relapse as a manipulation tactic to get herself out of the criticism and the heat that she was getting about Eugenia Cooney. So she decides to use her eating disorder to kind of, you know, make everybody aware. Oh, well, I can't hate Eugenia Cooney. I have an eating disorder too. I even relapsed covering her. You're blaming somebody else who has an eating disorder and who's not mentally well. You are placing the blame for your relapse onto that person, but you claim that you are a mental health advocate. Do you guys see what I'm saying here? Now let's get back to Nikocado Avocado. She is completely dismissing the fact that people with eating disorders can be extremely triggered by these mukbang channels. It's not about how they look. Veronica Wang is gorgeous. She's gorgeous. She looks great in my opinion, right? She eats an excessive amount of food on her channel. You see thumbnails, she's shoving her face with food. She's eating this, she's eating that. She eats a ton of food. What if she's triggering some young people who have the same problem and they can't stop eating? They have a binge eating disorder. If you're going to call out Eugenia Cooney for that, you better be calling out someone who's affecting somebody else's eating disorder. Do you guys see what I'm saying? So it's not about that nobody wants to look like Nikocado Avocado, so the situations don't compare. So Nikocado can just keep shoving his face full of food, even though he could possibly be triggering people big time with what he's doing. But she doesn't care about that. Do you know why she doesn't care about that? Because it doesn't personally affect her. She sees Nikocado Avocado, somebody she doesn't want to look like him. She's using projection. She's projecting all of her feelings into this video and saying that this is what the problem is and this is affecting the masses because it's affecting her. It triggers her when she watches Eugenia Cooney doing fashion, showing her body. She gets extremely uncomfortable and triggered by this. But she doesn't get uncomfortable and triggered by Nikocado Avocado. So she doesn't have a problem with it. But she's using the Eugenia Cooney for views, for money, for her own personal, you know, mental, whatever. I don't even know what the word is for it. But she's definitely projecting her feelings and of everything that she deals with an eating disorder onto Eugenia Cooney and blaming her for just simply existing on the internet and putting clothes on. So basically what I'm saying is she completely dismisses plus size models, mukbang, because that doesn't affect her. For some reason, she's extremely affected by Eugenia Cooney. And all Eugenia Cooney is doing is trying on clothes and shoes. And, you know, I understand that she triggers people, okay? But that doesn't mean that she shouldn't be able to exist on the internet. That doesn't mean that she shouldn't be able to try shoes on. Pastel Belle was freaking out because Eugenia Cooney's underwear got flashed, right? And she said she did it on purpose because her eyeshadow matched her underwear. This was horrible. This was disgusting. Like, she made this huge deal about it. Okay, but why aren't you making a big deal about it if other people are doing the same thing? Do you care if Nikocado Avocado flashes his underwear? No, right? She doesn't care. She is solely focused on Eugenia Cooney. Now, one of the arguments I have heard is that it's more dangerous or it's more, you know, unhealthy Eugenia Cooney versus Nikocado Avocado. And that's actually not true. So I looked up the statistics of deaths from obesity in America and the US and deaths from anorexia. 300,000 people die a year in the United States directly connected to obesity. 300,000 people. And it says 10,200 people die every year from anorexia. And 1 out of 5 of those deaths are from suicide. Not even from the disease itself. Now, don't come for me in the comments. I'm not saying that, you know, one is worse than the other or that, you know, anorexia doesn't matter and people aren't dying. Like, people just take your words and just run with it. All I'm saying is, if they think that Eugenia Cooney's eating disorder is more important and more of a dire situation to be addressed, you should feel that the mukbangers who are morbidly obese, like, shoot, what's that fucking girl's name? Foodie Beauty, I think? What's that girl, that name that Nikocado eats with? Is that her name?
I don't know.
I don't even know if you know what I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about.
What's her fucking name, man?
Fat chick?
Fat hungry chick.
Fat hungry chick.
That's it, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So if Pastel Belle is so, you know, upset about this urgent, dire situation with Eugenia Cooney because she's causing people to have eating disorders, which is extremely unhealthy. Eugenia Cooney's extremely unhealthy. She's mentally unstable. She's sick. People even had her 5150'd for her eating disorder. Now, is Nikocado, does anybody 5150 Nikocado Avocado? Did anybody 5150 Fat Hungry Chick for her binge eating? Nobody cares about that. But everybody wants to just focus on Eugenia Cooney being anorexic. Trying to run her off the platform is not going to help her mental health. Do I think she has an issue? Do I think it's dangerous? Yes. But my point of telling you about how many people die of obesity versus how many people die of anorexia, I would say that the deaths and the situation for obesity in the United States, the situation with how many deaths, 300,000 people, that is a huge number, die every single year in the US directly connected to obesity. So that's like heart disease, stroke, all that kind of stuff that comes with being that obese, extremely unhealthy. So why are you not making videos of Pastel Belle and Repzilla if you're so worried about the health situation for Eugenia Cooney? Why aren't you worried about the obesity situation in some of these mukbangers? Why aren't you worried about them triggering binge eating disorder in people? Why is it your only focus is Eugenia Cooney? Because it gets the views. Anytime anyone talks about Eugenia Cooney, she's a very polarizing person. You guys are using her in your thumbnail. You guys are putting clips of her and showing her body in your video. You cannot tell me that you are not using her to further your channel. You can't say that. You just can't. And you're also not keeping the same energy by talking about other channels on YouTube that are potentially triggering people's eating disorders. So Pastel Belle only cares about anorexia on YouTube. That is what personally triggers her. Somebody binge eating doesn't bother her. She doesn't want to look like Nikocado Avocado. She said it herself. So that is why she's so bothered by her. People are uncomfortable when they look at Eugenia Cooney. So their answer is, just get her off the internet. We don't want to look at her. We don't want her on video. She's making us uncomfortable. Well, guess what? Don't watch it. Because we are not qualified, one, to talk about her or her condition. We are not professionals. We are drama channels. She is way beyond drama and commentary. So I really don't think anybody should be making videos on her. And if you are going to make videos, you better keep the same damn energy and make videos about other people and other eating disorders. Because just because you feel like the anorexia is a more dire, urgent situation that needs to be addressed, which I just showed you, only 10,000 people compared to 300,000. Now, that's horrible. We don't want 10,000 people dying of anorexia and 1 in 5 of them from suicide. I'm just trying to show you that if that was really their concern, right, they would be definitely addressing the 300,000 deaths a year from obesity. So, hopefully I made my points. I don't ever have a script for this stuff, so sometimes I forget things that I wanted to say. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't say anything nasty about Eugenia Cooney or anything like that. We can have a nice conversation. We don't want to be talking about her body or anything like that. Okay, I will delete you. So let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you on my next one. Bye, guys.